I've tested every hardcore perk in Kingdom Come Deliverance, and trust me, some of these rankings will shock you. A few are inconvenient, others can completely destroy your run. Let's rank them. D tier, Consumption. Consumption reduces stamina regeneration by 15%. That might not sound devastating at first, but stamina is everything in Kingdom Come. Every swing, every block, every sprint, every arrow drawn, all of it depends on stamina. And here's the real problem. When your stamina hits 0, enemy hits go straight through your guard at full force. You take massively increased damage. You lose control of fights instantly. You can't just chug a stamina potion mid-fight and fix it. The only way to improve this long term is leveling vitality, which takes time, not being maxed out until the late game. This perk punishes you in every single combat encounter from start to finish. For this reason, this sits comfortably at the bottom of the list. Shakes. Shakes makes archery, lockpicking, and pickpocketing 60% harder. Early game, this is brutal. Archery is one of the strongest skills, especially in hardcore. Lockpicking opens up massive early game high-end loot. Pickpocketing can help put extra money and goods in your pocket. And this perk makes all three significantly harder to level. Yes, eventually this effect reduces at levels 5 and 10, but getting there with this perk active, it takes much longer. If your build relies on stealth or archery, this perk is devastating. It's slightly better than Consumption because it becomes more manageable later in the game, but early on, absolute pain. This will go into D tier, just above Consumption. Claustrophobia. Claustrophobia reduces melee damage by 15% when wearing face-plated helmets. Early game, doesn't matter much. Late game, big problem. The strongest helmets in the game fully cover your face, and the helmet is arguably the most important pieces of armor because headshots are lethal. Yes, you can use the best open-faced helmet like the bell-shaped kettle hat, but you're sacrificing 40% armor points compared to the top-tier helm. So now you have a choice. Are you looking to protect yourself or deal some damage? This perk forces a permanent compromise in melee combat. That's why this is going into D tier, but still ahead of the first two. C tier, Hemophilia. Hemophilia makes you bleed out 100% faster. Early game, extremely dangerous. Multiple enemies, you're now on a quicker timer because you cannot bandage yourself during combat. However, the thick-blooded perk reduces bleed time by 50%. Bleeding seems to be tied to slash or pierce damage. More damage penetration through your armor equals to higher chance to bleed. That's why heavy armor reduces these chances significantly. Another way to reduce bleeding chances is to avoid being hit while low on stamina. Once you stabilize mid-game, this becomes far less threatening. It's nasty early, manageable later. For this reason, it will go into C tier. B tier, Brittle Bones. Brittle Bones increases fall damage significantly. From testing, it feels close to double. This removes your ability to take shortcuts. Jumping off even the modest heights becomes dangerous. The perk Featherweight helps this negative trait by reducing fall damage by 30%. It is fairly easy to recover from your limb damage by sleeping. But here's the thing. Fall damage isn't simply constant, it's situational. You can play around it with awareness, but sometimes it's unavoidable. That's why it lands right in B tier. A tier, Nightmares. Nightmares reduce all stats by 2 points for 2 in-game hours after sleeping. It's not deadly, it's not crippling, it's just annoying. Especially if you wake up right before a stat check, combat encounter, or a speech check. This will affect you negatively, mostly during some of the quests in the game. Also, remember weapons require certain stats to use, and become useless if your stats don't meet certain requirements. What you can do to counter this effect is you literally wait 2 in-game hours. That's it, which makes it more tedious than dangerous. Overall, this trait is not very noticeable, but because of how inconvenient and a chore this can be, I'm placing it into A tier. Tapeworm. Tapeworm makes nourishment drop 50% faster.
You could do with a bite to eat.
Early game, this hurts your carry capacity because you need more food. But food in Kingdom Come Deliverance is everywhere. And here's the hidden upside. Lower nourishment means you can drink more potions and alcohol, which is especially helpful before combat encounters. It actually becomes useful in some situations. The balanced diet perk becomes harder to maintain with this negative trait, mostly by getting hungry while sleeping. The perk aesthetic helps mitigate this problem by decreasing hunger dropping by 30%, but also increasing negative effects from hunger and overeating by 20%. This perk is easy to manage, which makes it a solid A tier, going above Nightmares. S tier, Numbskull. Numbskull reduces all experience gain by 40%. Sounds horrible. In early game, it absolutely is. Slower stats, slower perks, harder speech checks, harder early combat. But here's the key insight. Every stat in the game eventually caps. Once maxed, this perk literally stops mattering. It becomes the only negative perk in the game that is temporary. Late game, it has zero downside. Regardless of whether you're running this negative trait or not, reading skill books and buying experience from trainers are the best way of leveling up skills fast without trying to cheese the game. And some perks that can help this method is the Perk Colleague, which helps reduce prices of books by 10%, and also the perk Silver Tongue. It increases your speech stat by 80% while bartering prices. Considering all these things, this goes into S tier. Somnambulant. Somnambulant gives you the chance to wake up in a completely different location after sleeping. You might wake up in the woods, you might wake up in a town. From testing, I figure this is a 10% chance. It can potentially interfere with the quest, A Needle in a Haystack. During the quest, this trait can teleport you outside of the monastery walls after sleeping, ignoring the locked doors. But it doesn't fail the quest. It gives you a new challenge to get back into the monastery. But overall, it's unpredictable, it's funny, it's rare. And most importantly, it does not affect combat, stats, progression, or survivability in a meaningful way. At worst, it wastes a bit of time. That makes Somnambulant the best negative perk in hardcore mode, going to the top of the list. Tell me which perks you disagree with the most, and if there's another Kingdom Come Deliverance tier list you would like to see next, drop it below.